So I think Flash is going to be able to push out soon. I think that's what Flash has to realize, that because Xavier is behind, he doesn't have to worry about Xavier catching up economically. He can just deliver the hammer blow, and Xavier is really desperate to keep Flash in his base. Xavier trying to get that siege tag off, and how useful would a pair of Scourges been there to try and take that science vessel out. We've seen Xavier try and do that before, and Xavier now trying to keep Flash in his base. He's doing the best he can. He's taking the turret out, and he's just trying to basically keep Flash's forces at home and prevent Flash from going out and pushing towards his main and towards that expansion to buy himself the time he needs. He's getting a group of Zerglings out as well. He's got a couple of lurkers, and really that's not going to be nearly enough if Flash does decide to push when he feels that he's got enough defenses as well. And now Flash is pushing. He's got a siege tank. He's got his science vessel floundering ahead. And again, a couple of Scourges with those Mutalisks. He could take out the science vessels and really buy himself the time he needs to get back in this game. But Xavier has decided once again to not invest in any Scourges. Maybe he just feels he doesn't have the resource for it. Flash has got a decent defense up. He's got a couple of bunkers up. He's got one bunker up. He's got a second bunker building. He's got loads of turrets. He managed to he's managed to take out one of Flash's siege tanks. So Xavier managed to kill one of the siege tanks, but I think Flash still has a couple of siege tanks at least in his main force. Flash now using the Irradiate on those Mutalisks, and Xavier's spread a little bit low. He's still taking damage. He took damage to about 4 Mutalisks throughout. He tried to spread them out, but unfortunately wasn't able to pick the Mutalisk that was irradiated and pull it out of his group. He's got a decent number of lurkers up now, so he has been buying himself a little bit of time. The problem again, it's all about the timing. Normally Xavier would have those lurkers up much earlier, and he would have those lurkers up much further up the map, therefore delaying his opponent's advance a lot greater and fighting his opponent more in the open terrain. Right now Flash is much closer to Xavier's base than he would like, and now Flash knows exactly where that expansion is. He's got a siege tank, he's got his medic and marine force, he's got his 2 science vessels, he's got a couple of Scourges out now as well. Xavier's got a couple of Scourges out now as well, but Flash is just going to force his way up that ramp, and I don't think there's anything at all Xavier can do to defend that expansion, and really he's going to be in a really tough position from here on in. Xavier trying to fight Flash on the ramp where there is a choke, but Flash managed to get most of his medic and marine group up the ramp. He's managed to kill some of Xavier's managed to get some of Flash's medic moves. He's used D-Matrix on the siege tank, and he's going to try and focus that hatchery down. The defenses, the Sunkens that Xavier were trying to go down. Xavier managed to take the siege tank out, and this is going to buy him a little bit of time. But again, losing that third gas usually spells the end of the game for the Zerg player. Xavier, surprisingly enough, Xavier looks like he's done well enough. He's actually going to be able to take out most of this force. He's lost most of his ground forces in that, but I think Xavier would probably take this exchange. I think he would probably have struggled if Flash had barreled through towards his main. I think he might have struggled a little bit to come out and take Splash out, and he would have lost more in the process. But Xavier managed to buy himself enough time. He hasn't been able to save the hatchery, but he has got his third expansion in his main, so he hasn't been able to, so he's still in a decent position. Flash obviously has got a similar number of expansions. Xavier is putting that expansion back up. Flash now once again venturing force. Xavier's got a decent ground force. Xavier's actually fought himself back into this game. I thought he was cursed. I thought he was dead and buried, and Flash had too much of a lead, but oh my god, Flash with 4 science vessels already, and Xavier needs to do something about this. He's going to surrender to Flash's massive science vessel macro yet again if he doesn't do something about this science vessel massing. He's trying to send the Scourge to take that science vessel out. This time he actually conserves the Scourges and doesn't suicide them needlessly on a group of medic and marines. I just wanted to say one thing though. I've been pretty lax on the whole issue of posting spoilers and comments on the YouTube pages, and I just wanted to say to you guys, I understand the need to discuss a game that you've just watched, and I don't object to that, but I think it's really bad form and quite discourteous to actually discuss games in the series that haven't been played as of yet. And I know certainly that the result of this series, now I haven't seen any, obviously I don't see any of the games before I comment them, but I certainly, unfortunately, kind of sort of know the result of this series because some morons decided to talk all about what happens in games 4 through 7 in the comments on game 3, that really took the jam out of my donut and sort of killed my motivation to do the rest of the series because I already knew what the results were going to be. Nevertheless, I'm going ahead and doing them because I want to obviously watch the spectacle that is in the games. And unfortunately for Xavier, they're losing a large group of his Zerglings, not able to effect any damage on those science vessels. And now the Irradiate spam begins, and this is it. This is going to be GG for Xavier right here. I don't think he can recover from this. He was behind as it was. Flash taking down that expansion, I don't think that made the key difference. I think Flash just has overpowered Xavier. I think he just has too much of a stronger force. Xavier's got a Defiler out. He's managed to put a swarm down, and he just doesn't have enough. He just doesn't have enough to survive Flash's onslaught. So yeah, that certainly took the jam out of my donut. I'm afraid people talking about the results of the series of games that haven't been covered yet. So I would urge you guys to refrain from doing that in the future. And I'm actually going to be tempted to probably delete posts that are that, even if I've already seen those games and commented on them, because I don't like the idea of the games being ruined for players. Xavier this time, look at the difference this time. He gets a very early plague off. He should have been doing this in game 4, guys. Very early play, catching most of the science vessels and the marines. I think he realized from last game that he needed to get that plague out earlier, and this time he tried to do that. Xavier trying to get those lurkers burrowed, try and stop Flash from getting up and taking that expansion out. He's bringing units in from behind as well, so he's actually defending not too badly here, but unfortunately for him, he's not been able to take out those science vessels. Although that plague, and look at the difference between using that plague there. What a difference it's made. It's actually allowed him to take out those units of Flash. And now he might be able to catch one of those science vessels. As he's trying to catch one of the science vessels that is low on health from the plague, and he actually managed to take out one of the science vessels. So Xavier actually doing not terribly badly, but Flash is just so far ahead that he can afford to take those kind of losses, and I think still come out on top in the long run. So as I said, I won't be tolerating any posts about series games that haven't been covered yet. I can accept people discussing games that are discussing the game that's basically in that video and games that have preceded that video, but I will not tolerate discussion of games that are in the future of the series in previous games, because I think it ruins the game for people watching, and people like to read the comments, and I think it's lame to say to people they shouldn't read the comments, especially if all of the series haven't been covered yet, because people like to read the comments about a game they've just seen and like to discuss it with other people. So I think a little bit of common sense and courtesy, if applied, would do wonders here. So anyway, Flash looks like he's ready to go in for the kill. I think he's realized that there's no point wasting his resources going after the starving strategy. Might not work as well on this map as it does on others. Again, Master irradiates going off for Flash. Xavier getting really just not having enough resources to pump out as many scourges as he needs to, and Flash macroing heavily all across the map, setting up command centers everywhere. I don't think he's going to need them, to be honest, because he's just so far ahead already. Xavier in dire straits. He realizes that even though he's managed to get a few expansions, another brilliant plague by Xavier, another great plague. At Xavier really using those defilers to maximum effect, buying himself so much time, catching off most of Flash's firebats and marines, as well as almost all of his science vessels. Flash a little bit cocky with his science vessel micro on this occasion. Usually he uses already plagued science vessels to be the front runners to, but this time he's just maneuvering them all, and that just shows how strongly he feels his advantages. He was waiting for the siege tanks obviously to affect the push. He's got enough of them out now, and unfortunately for Xavier, those hired lists are wasting time hitting the science facility, so he wasn't microing them there, and Flash is once again getting into that expansion. Xavier did have a couple of lurkers burrowed there previously to slow Flash down, and that's really what he does. Flash has left one of his siege tanks undefended at the rear. That siege tank is coming under fire from a group of Zerglings. Flash now pulling him in. His scourges, he's trying to bring a Mutalist with the scourges. Unfortunately takes a lot of damage there, so that one siege tank gets taken out by Xavier, but he's now gotten his way up the ramp, and Xavier just doesn't have enough ground forces to take Flash on head on. He hasn't got a sunken line up and running yet. He's trying to build that sunken line, but he hasn't got it up and running in time, and unfortunately I think this expansion is going to go down yet again for Xavier. All the resources he's been expending and trying to get these expansions going just not working out for him. He's left his siege tanks undefended though at the bottom of the ramp, away from his main forces, so Xavier has a chance here to take the siege tanks out and buy himself some more time in the game. He's venturing forward with the defiler yet again. Those Xavier should be able to take out one. I don't know what that Scourge is. Scourge is 5, and Flash irradiates his own science was realizing that they're low on health already. He irradiates them, not that it should affect machines anyway, so he irradiates them to take out the Zerglings before they can take out those siege tanks, and just Xavier again, the fact that he did not have the resources to fight Flash there, just didn't have enough units on the ground, and not having the production capacity. Fighting valiantly though, he's using Plague to great effect in this game, and I think had he done that as well the previous game, he would have probably come out on top, despite the great drop by Flash in game 4 that turned the game around for him. So this looks like GG, guys. Flash just got bases everywhere, and Xavier just has no answer. I don't really think this is more a starving strategy game by Flash, even though he has sort of done that. Xavier isn't anywhere near running out of resources, but he's just been out-macroed and out-microed once his initial rush failed, and really, that was kind of the design. And unfortunately, sometimes in StarCraft, especially in Terran versus Zerg, it's one of the unfortunate things that you could have a 20-minute long game of StarCraft that was decided in the first 30 seconds, literally, or even decided before the game was ever played by the player's choice of starting strategies, and by the positions of the map. And now Flash going in for the drone kill with his irradiated science vessel. He's got more than enough science vessels that he can afford to risk them over Xavier's territory with impunity. Xavier manages to pick up a couple of science vessels, but his economy already nowhere near to being in par of that of Flash, and Xavier GG's realizing that